ladies and gentlemen, my name is Putty and welcome back for another edition of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. We are here for Old School Rules, which sadly doesn't actually have a lot of old school rules tonight. We're actually doing things pretty much as usual. But it is May. It is the 2022 show. May 2022, show. What the fuck am I talking about? We are in Charlotte City Hall. We have a good show for you tonight. Stacked card, which if you don't know what a stacked card means, if you didn't watch the Brand Split series, that means we have one match on it. In the main event of the evening, Ernest Youngman defends his Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship against Kamikaze, who's had a great year. Very good year. And we'll hopefully see him all the way through to a Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship. But he's got to get past Ernest Youngman. It's a tough challenge. And he's going to have an uphill battle if he wants to do so. So, aside from that, there's also other matches on the card, of course. It's not just a one-match show. Lots of reaction from the last episode. Speaking of the last episode, I want to quickly apologize for some audio issues. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. If you turned your volume down, it should have been alright. It wasn't as unlistenable as the early loud edition of the show. But I'm still having trouble finding that exact sweet spot for my microphone. Volume-wise, where I don't clip, but I can still kind of be heard. It's odd. You got to find the right sweet spot with this microphone. And also, OBS has completely different settings to like Audacity, which is what I've used in the past. So even 77 episodes in, I still have to tweak things every episode. It's not as easy as it looks. Just kidding, super fucking easy. But yes, let's get into the show today. We have a very fun show for you this afternoon. I have a whole lot of stuff to talk about, and yeah, let's just jump right into it. We kick off the show, and Gary Walker comes down to the ring, and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to apologize for my rant last month. It was uncalled for. It was above my station. I was always told that words are cheap, and that actions speak a lot louder. And so I wanted to come out of here and let you guys know that I'm not going to be using my words anymore. I'm leaving commentary effective immediately. And I'm reporting tomorrow to the Mid-Atlantic Performance Center, the Mid-Atlantic Dojo. And I'm going to train. And I'm going to train to get in that ring and prove to guys like Logan Wolfsbane that wrestling doesn't have to be done in a certain way. Prove to guys like Logan Wolfsbane that you don't have to cut corners. And also prove to guys like George Wolf and the rest of that group that you don't have to be born a wrestler. You don't have to be born a champion to become something great. You know, those guys, they do work hard. They work damn hard, but they think that they deserve everything. But you know what? People need to get out there. People like Ernest Youngman need to show them with enough hard work and enough attitude, you can get anywhere in this business. So you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend this summer training my ass off to get in that ring and to show the world that with enough hard work, you can be a champion in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. And so I wanted to extend this out to Boss Man. You know, nobody is entitled to a contract here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. But I would be honored to be given the opportunity to compete. We open up the show with James Diaz taking on Shooting Star Perez here one night only, or you know, he's not here all the time. I know he's been here more than one night, but you know, anyway, James Diaz defeats Shooting Star Perez. Shooting Star Perez, of course, trying to bring that high-flying adrenaline rush stuff, trying to put James Diaz, the Return of the Monster, off his game. But the Return of the Monster will not be put off his game. He's destructive, he's chaotic, he's vicious, and he is brutal. And he will brutalize guys like Shooting Star Perez, destroy them, victimize them, target them, expose and target those weaknesses. And that's exactly what James Diaz does, beating down and brutalizing the high flyer, and ended up picking up the victory with that Asian thumb spike. And we move on as Huracan almost tries to do the same thing against Logan Wolfsbane, but of course Huracan we've seen around the block for a while now. He's got that high-flying expertise. You know, he's been down in Mexico, he's been over in California, he's well-traveled. Shooting Star Perez is green, Shooting Star Perez is raw, he hasn't been forged into this excellent luchador like Huracan has. Huracan embodies lucha libre. Huracan embodies... Huracan embodies a high-flying but intelligent style of professional wrestling as he hits... I didn't even realize how good this match was. As he hits the ropes, he goes to the high-flying the high-flying attitude, and manages to target Logan Wolfsbane's legs, trying to take that strength out from under him. But Logan Wolfsbane is just too strong, too aggressive, too brutal, and indeed, he's probably spurred on by the events of last month's show, spurred on by the words of Gary Walker at the start of the show, and indeed seems incensed, seems more angry than we've ever seen Logan Wolfsbane before, and he puts in just an aggressively vicious performance, getting that momentum, brutalizing Huracan, and locking him in every manner of painful, nasty submission maneuvers before hitting him with that belly-to-belly suplex and picking up the victory. We also move on to a match between Cowboy Buck Winchester and Dewey Archer, as Cowboy Buck tries to put Dewey Archer, an excellent technical wrestler, off his game with that brawling style, that barroom brawl style. Cowboy Buck Winchester, of course, a professional cowboy. He's got those fists, he's got those barroom brawling style, and he's just going to throw rights, throw lefts, trying to put Dewey Archer off his game, trying to expose those weaknesses of Dewey Archer, trying to keep the pace up high. But Dewey Archer, he likes a fast pace. But he likes a fast, technical pace, and that's exactly what Dewey Archer shows tonight. He's on a hell of a run this year, as Dewey Archer goes hold for hold, disarms Cowboy Buck Winchester, disengages the situation, and indeed locks in that proton lock. And Dewey Archer, on a hell of a run this year, picks up another victory. Of course, he calls himself the uncrowned #1 contender, and tonight proves why he says that. It's probably a good time to mention two things. That first of all, next month is Fan Festival, and our main event of the evening, we are going to have Davis Wayne Newton taking on Logan Wolfsbane. Big match. Davis Wayne has had a great year, but only one defeat at the hands of course, Kamikaze in that #1 contenders match. Logan Wolfsbane has also had a really good year. He's been pretty much unstoppable. Those two go head-to-head for a future shot at the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship next month at Fan Festival in the main event. And also later tonight, we are going to get the in-ring debut of the Southern Stars, Animal Harker and Tennessee Williams, as they take on the returning legendary tag team MAW legends, the Dynamite Express, who have been making a hell of a name for themselves over in the Chicago territory recently. But they're here tonight in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling for a big tag team match, and I believe it's next. It is not, as American Elemental also returns to MAW. American Elemental has been spending a lot of time over in Japan recently with Pride, and he returns tonight as a special attraction to take on Robin DeLay, who's on a bit of a losing streak. Tonight he faces American Elemental and tries to use his fists, tries to use his size, his aggression, and the teachings of George Wolf to kind of dominate American Elemental, but Amel has too much pace, has too much heart, has too much passion. And indeed, he gets that momentum. He hits the ropes, ups the pace, ups the tempo, and manages to expose the weaknesses of Robin DeLay. You know, American Elemental, we saw him as a rookie, and we've seen him grow. He has grown so much. And he is one of the greatest wrestlers in the business today. He's able to do some of the most innovative, the crazy maneuvers that you can ever see in this business. And those crazy maneuvers, you know, sometimes you just can't counter them. You just can't counter what you don't expect. And American Elemental is one of the most unpredictable, the most exciting acts in the business today, whether it be in Japan or whether it be in the States. American Elemental impresses and excites, and that's exactly what he does tonight. He overexcites, and he allows Robin DeLay to make mistakes, expose weaknesses, and that's what American Elemental is able to exploit. Keep the high pace, and for a second time in as many months, Robin DeLay is put down by the American Earthbreaker. We do indeed have the in-ring debut of the Southern Stars, as we have this very traditional tag team match. Tennessee Williams starts against the Dynamite Express, and the Dynamite Express isolate him. They cut off the ring, and like we often see kind of a bastardized traditional tag team match here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. Apparently Duke Hazard is not a good manager. But we have a bastardized version of a traditional tag team match here in MAW far too often. What I mean by that is we have Devil May Care have been such a prominent part of the tag team scene, and same with the Ring Generals. And the Ring Generals are very technical, very traditional, clinical tag team wrestlers. That means they isolate the ring, they cut things off. They have a lot of traditional tag team wrestling psychology. But for the Ring Generals, that traditional tag team psychology is a very heelish atmosphere. And with Devil May Care, they're very fast, they're very high-flying. However, the Ring Generals are good guys, they're fun-loving baby faces. And Devil May Care are nasty, Valhalla-loving heels. And that means that we often get bastardized versions of traditional tag team matches, where Devil May Cry are getting worked down, or the ring generals are employing traditional heelish tag team actions. But tonight we actually get a proper tag team match as the bad guys, the nasty, the gritty, the dirty, the slime ball Sid Collier, and the kind of cocky, pompous, pretentious Cameron Jones are able to work down the fun-loving, music-loving, country-loving Tennessee Williams, able to isolate, cut off that corner of the ring and work down Tennessee Williams. You know, we know Sid Collier. He likes to cut corners, but he's also just this down-to-earth, vicious grappler. Deadly Dean style, grind out a match. Just doesn't care. Works a headlock, crowd starts to boo, works the headlock further, doesn't give a shit. Works you down, keeps you in the corner, slows down, man. He doesn't care if this is exciting professional wrestling. He's just going to work you down. He's just going to keep brutalizing you. Quick tags with Cameron Jones. In and out. Just no energy wasted as they try to make sure that the big guy, the big lad, big Animal Harker. Animal Harker? It's Animal, right? Yeah. Animal Harker doesn't get in the ring, isn't able to pick up the momentum, slowing down the match to a pace as the crowd's like, no, we want excitement, we want action. And the Dynamite Express are like, nah, we're going to work this down. Slow her down. Yeah, that's the way. Slow her down. I don't know what noises I just made. I was trying to make like a headlock, whatever, fuck you guys. We're gonna work down Tennessee Williams in the corner. It's a traditional, amazing tag team match from a legendary tag team in the Dynamite Express, as they just constantly, distract the referee to get a cheap shot in on Tennessee and make sure that he's just locked in the corner, just make sure that he is just absolutely nowhere near his partner. But in the end, of course, something goes wrong. Tennessee's able to show that fire, show that heart, and show that passion that he has. And he's able to break away, he's able to jump across the ring, get the tag into the big man, to Animal Harker, who comes in with a big, brutal, destructive force, hitting the ropes, bull in a china shop, big boot to Sid Collier on the apron as he goes flying to the outside, flying to the now Gary Walker manned commentary booth. And in comes Sid Collier. He tries to stand up. In comes Cameron Jones. Tries to stand up to the big man. We know Cameron Jones. He's not a small man. Cameron Jones is quite large himself. He likes that bull in a china shop style professional wrestling. We have the clash of the titans, but of course Animal Harker is the bigger titan. And he's able to lift Cameron Jones up. He's able to bring him down on that aggressive, brutal Texas meat grinder. And in the end, the Southern Stars do pick up the victory in their in-ring debut here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. Impressive stuff from the team that Duke Hazard calls the greatest tag team in the history of the Southern Territories. And I believe there is an angle that I have misplaced. It's probably at the end of the show, so I'm just going to say it now. After the match, the Dynamite Express shake hands with the Southern Stars and have a kind of show of respect for such a good tag team match. And we move on as Earl Martin and the Mean Machine have a good match. Earl Martin defeating the Mean Machine with a Tiger Thrust kick. Earl Martin, of course, on a roll with that momentum, shows he can, he's shown in the past that he can do the high-flying, adrenaline rush-style professional wrestling with the best of them, and he's shown recently that he can brawl too, and that's exactly what he does against one of the best up-and-coming brawlers in the business, the Mean Machine. He hasn't lost a lot. He's been dominant in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, and tonight he shows that he is once again one of the most brutal brawlers in the biz today, throwing rights and lefts, brutalizing, pummeling, destroying Earl Martin. But Earl Martin sticks in there because he's got heart and he's got that passion, and he's willing to take his blows, take his hits, and stay in there and keep fighting. And that's exactly what Earl Martin does tonight. And he fires up and he throws some punches of his own, and he throws some suplexes of his own, he throws some throws of his own, and he hits the ropes, and he hits that momentum style professional wrestling. He picks up the pace, and the Mean Machine, he just can't deal with the pace. Earl Martin has too much pace for the Mean Machine, and that means that the weaknesses are exposed, and Earl Martin pounces, hits him with that Tiger Thrust kick, and picks up the victory. A not often found victory against the Mean Machine. And we cut to the interview area because it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for our main event of the evening. And Ernest Youngman walks up to Sweet Tabitha with the title around his waist, and he looks her up and down and says, "Sweet Tabitha, tonight you are in for a treat. You see, tonight, Sweet Tabitha, we are going to have one of the biggest matches of my career, because you've seen, oh yes, you've seen that I can beat technical wrestlers. I've done it my entire career. It's what I thrive on. It's what I live for. It's what I do. I can beat technical wrestlers all day, all night. You know why? Because I'm the greatest technical wrestler on the planet today. I'm the wrestling machine. I'm the best there's ever been. I'm the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Champion, 3-time World Heavyweight Champion, the most decorated athlete in the history of the Confederation. That's right. You've seen that I can beat brawlers. You've seen that I can beat the big man, that I can stand up to giants. You know why? Because giants will fall, and diamonds may fade. But Ernest Youngman is forever, baby, and I've been able to stand up to the Mean Machine. Stand up to Scythe. They can't slay me. They can't ground me. They can't keep me on the floor, because I've got too much heart and too much passion. But you know, there's one type of wrestler that I've never fought here. There's one type of wrestler you don't see a lot of here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, and those are guys that use their bodies as weapons. Those are guys who keep the pace to the max, and those are guys like Kamikaze. And I gotta say, Kamikaze, you've had one of the greatest years I've ever seen in this company. You beat some big names, Kamikaze, you're on a run, and I gotta say, you're really good. You are. And tonight I got a match in store for me that is gonna test me to my limits, and you know why? Because you are one of the fastest superstars in the business today. And I'm gonna be in a war, and I'm gonna be out of my depth. But I'm gonna fight. You're gonna see my heart. You're gonna see my passion. I'm gonna take every step in that ring like one of life's greatest pleasures. I'm gonna lock in every technical maneuver you can think of. And I gotta tell you, if I get you with that cross-face chicken wing, you're gonna tap. Or snap. Ernest Youngman excited for definitely a different typecast match. He said it himself. He's beat the brawlers. He's beaten the technical wrestlers. But tonight, it's very different. Tonight, he's got to be in there with a guy like Kamikaze. And we talked about American Elemental earlier tonight. Kamikaze is a new level. You know, Kamikaze and American Elemental have had a massive feud over the years. In their recent encounter, I think Kamikaze got the better of it. Kamikaze is a nightmare. Kamikaze is brutal. Kamikaze is unpredictable. He is insane. And as soon as this match begins, Kamikaze shows it too, because he hits him with a big drop kick, and he throws Ernest Youngman to the outside, and suddenly we know Ernest Youngman's in a battle. We know Ernest Youngman is in a battle tonight as he gets thrown to the outside, and you don't expect that. Ernest Youngman, he's often in control. He thrives on control, but he doesn't have control over Kamikaze. Kamikaze is too chaotic, too crazy for control to be established on him. And that's exactly what happens as Ernest Youngman is thrown off his game. Ernest Youngman is thrown completely out of whack, and he's got to recover, he's got to regroup, he's got to think. But one of the greatest things about Ernest Youngman, we've seen it over the years, is his ability to think and his ability to adapt. And he gets in that ring, and Kamikaze hits him again with a super kick right into that corner. Ernest Youngman's plan clearly has failed, because he got back in that ring and he got clocked. He falls back into the corner, rocked. Just, his bell is rung, and Kamikaze does not let up. Because Kamikaze is brutal. Kamikaze is constant. And he hits that corner with a big drop kick. He knows this is his one chance, his biggest opportunity of his career. And he keeps coming. He keeps throwing everything he's got at Ernest Youngman, because he knows that's what it's going to take to keep Ernest Youngman down. And for a minute, it seems to be working. For a second, Ernest Youngman seems to be too far on the back foot to recover. But he is the wrestling machine. He's the best there's ever been. And if there's one thing you know about Ernest Youngman, is he's not going to go down without a fight. And you can see the fire in his eyes. And it's lit bright. It is lit brighter than anything else you've ever seen. The fire of professional wrestling burns brighter in Ernest Youngman than any other creature this planet's ever held. He takes every step in that ring as one of life's greatest pleasures. And he does get an opportunity. He senses that blood. He sees when Kamikaze goes for a top rope maneuver, some sort of moonsault. He sees he's got an opportunity, and he counters that moonsault into an armbar, and now he's got a foothold, a chance. And you give Ernest Youngman one chance, and he's going to take it, because he is the best that this territorial system has ever seen. 3-time World Heavyweight Champion. Nobody else has done that. Nobody else has ever come close. It is an unprecedented level of success. And Ernest Youngman has it, because he is one of the greatest wrestlers we have ever seen. And with a wink and a smile, he will lock in every single technical wrestling maneuver under the sun, going hold for hold, working every single limb Kamikaze has and establishing that control. Because Ernest Youngman will not be stopped, cannot be stopped. And he does lock in his holds. And he does put together some beautiful sequences. Because that's what we know he can do. And in the end, He works down Kamikaze. He establishes that control. He shows he's the best in the world. And he locks in that crossface chicken wing, and just as promised, Kamikaze taps out. And Ernest Youngman makes defense number 5 of his Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship. And obviously, this was the shake hands angle from earlier. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Check out the rest of the series. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're feeling especially generous, there's a link to my Patreon in the description. If you want to hear me ramble on Twitter, a link to that is also in the description. In the next episode, our main event of the evening, we'll pit Logan Wolfsbane, member of Team Progress. Will he have Team Progress in his corner? George Wolf is slated to make an appearance next month. Will he be supporting his former protege, or is there still tension between the two? But Logan Wolfsbane will have to contend with the Canadian sensation, the triple threat Davis Wayne Newton, who started the year off showing a new attitude, showing a blatancy in his cheating ways. And last episode we saw that he wasn't quite as cheaty as he has been. He's spending a lot of time with his best friend Fro Shore. Maybe Fro has brought Davis Wayne back to his roots, back to his core. Maybe he has. We don't know. We're going to find out next time, maybe, because Davis Wayne's going at one of the most corner-cutting, the most deadly wrestlers in the business today, Logan Wolfsbane. And the winner will, of course, get a future shot at the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Championship. The final show, before the Sam Keith Classic, the greatest tag team tournament in the industry today, is Fan Festival. We're in the Capitol Gardens. Big Fan Festival celebrations going on down there. Be there or be square. That's a weird saying. God, I feel old. I'm usually not this bad at outros, so I'm just gonna press the stop button now. Okay?